When I designed my forthcoming game, Hyperspace, I pulled kind of a prank on my backers. If you were one of them, I hope you were amused. Anyway, the game started out, we announced it and had 24 different alien civs. And we told everyone there was a super secret 25th faction to be announced in the last 3 days. And then when it came, it was the humans. So of course, some people had already guessed it, because if you're doing a space game and there aren't humans, you know, you get suspicious. Though I have to say, one of my favorite games ever, Cosmic Encounter, doesn't have humans. Now, another feature of Hyperspace is that every civilization is rated on how challenging it is to play. Thus, the Glazic token, the Venge, have a green normal rating. They're easy to figure out. The Zavolt and old ones have a yellow advanced rating. By my estimate, you need some experience under your belt, like a game or so, before you realize how to play the guys who are advanced. But 2 only of the 25 civs were rated hyper difficulty. These I thought were the weirdest, most aberrant, and most challenging civs, and one of those was the humans. So this already makes me kind of an outlier in gaming, because most science fiction and fantasy games, and for that matter books, treat humans as the standard by which other races are judged. You know how it works. Klingons are like humans but stronger and more aggressive. Vulcans are like humans but smarter and less emotional. Elves are like humans but they're faster. Orcs are like humans but they're meaner. Humans are always portrayed as the thing that everything else is different from. We're like the vanilla flavor of things. One of my favorite space games, Eclipse, has civilization boards, at least the first edition, with 2 sides. One side has an alien race with weird quirky abilities. The other has humans, which are vanilla. All the human races are the same, at least in the first edition, which is the one I own. In the classic game Masters of Orion, the human civilization traits that are baked in are really dull. Basically, you're better at diplomacy, you know, and you're Democrats. This is natural. We know a lot about humans. We're surrounded by humans constantly. They're the universe of sentient beings that we live in. So we assume they are normal, but we're not a typical entity. This is masked by our familiarity. Let's look at some of the ways the humans are quite weird, even compared to other things on Earth. First, the body plan. We have a strange body plan. Yes, your internal organs aren't that different. I mean, we have a stomach and we have a pancreas and we have lungs and we have a divided heart and so forth. But look what we've done with it. Look at these creatures. Notice anything odd about the humans? We are the only mammal to walk on 2 legs. While others can do it for a short time, we do it all the time. Now, there are non-mammals who walk on 2 legs like us, but if you look, you'll see we're the only one that actually stands erect. Yes, ostriches, dinosaurs, they walk on 2 legs, but their spine is parallel to the ground, not vertical. We totter upright in this really unlikely stance. Now, this body plan gives us some interesting abilities, and it's not just the shape of our walking up there. One is that we don't have fur, we cool by sweating. Furry animals can't sweat, they're covered with fur. So that means that a dog, for example, he pants when he gets overheated. He has to stop to do that. We don't. In fact, when we're running, we get cooler, so we can keep cooling while running. Second, we're really well designed to throw things. We are literally the only animals on Earth that regularly use missiles to fight. Yes, apes can throw poop, but they really can only lob it. They can't do a good overhand throw without falling over. They certainly don't use thrown things as a real weapon. In fact, our whole body is designed to let us use weapons. That might be part of that erect posture. We talk about how the saber-tooth has fangs, or the bears have mighty claws, but we were wielding weapons more effective than saber-tooths or bear claws in the Stone Age. In fact, we invented the most effective of all hand-to-hand weapons before Homo sapiens even came along. If you don't believe me, watch this video about how deadly a spear is. Homo heidelbergensis, the ancestor of both Neanderthals and us, invented spears. And even the regular weapons we're better at than other animals around us. So for example, take a club. When a human uses a club, we swing it like this to smash you with. They've given clubs to apes. See how they use it in this weird, awkward way. An ape will hold the club up so it's like parallel to the ground, and then to hit you, it'll move it parallel down. It gets no effect from the arc or ever power. It's like an extension of the arm, literally. Okay, but not not a mechanically effective extension. Humans use the mechanical extensions. So Heidelbergensis, my hero, has come in with the spear. That has come really handy over the century. Human warriors still use it in the form of bayonets. With a spear, you're a match for a cave bear. Now, this is partly powered by our extremely high metabolism. We need more food pound for pound than any ape. This is because our brains eat a lot of energy. We don't just have larger brains than chimps. We're using them faster, more powerfully, and using up more energy because of this. And note that none of this is because we're smart. Our body form doesn't require brains. Throwing objects doesn't take brains. We were throwing rocks big enough to kill a baboon when we were still Australopithecus with brains the size of a chimp's. But chimps can't throw rocks. Now, creating spears, creating other weapons took brains, but it was all built on our body plan. Now, an alien that evolved differently could be just as smart as us, but I don't think their technology would have gone down the same path. Imagine a life form which was not designed to use missiles. Okay? For example, on Earth, every other life form. How long would it take a thing like that to conceive of a ranged weapon? If they invented gunpowder, they'd use it for mines or bombs. They might invent plasma swords or phase hammers, but guns, maybe not. Imagine that elephants became sentient. They don't need weapons to hunt. They're large enough they don't fear predators. I imagine an elephantoid alien would have cannons or guns or lasers on its ship, but I don't think it would ever develop hand-to-hand weapons at all. Let's go into our biology a little more. Life cycle. Humans live a long time. Yes, there's things that live longer. Trees live even longer. Some trees do. Tortoises can live longer. Amoebas never die. They just go on forever. But most life forms survive for a much shorter period of time. For example, even though amoebas are in theory immortal, in practice, most amoebas die within a day or two. Now, another difference is that not only do we live a long time, but we take a long time to get maturity. We're not sexually mature until we're in our teens. And even then, we don't regard our young as ready to start a family till in our 20s, sometimes even older. When we do have children, we're super slow breeding. I can't think of any life form which spawns more slowly than humans. This is weird, I know, because a lot of fantasy and science fiction tales say that humans are the fast breeding race that's filling the land, but we're not. Yes, there's a lot of humans today, but it's not because we have babies faster than other species. It's because we live longer and it's taken us a long time to accumulate these people, but we've done it. Now here's some animals that are supposed to breed slowly, like tortoises and century plants. They still have kids faster than us. Look, giant tortoises live a really long time. 200 years, say. But when they lay eggs, they lay 5 to 10 eggs at a time, and they do this every year. Imagine what it would be like if humans had 5 kids a year. That's how fast the giant tortoise breeds. The century plant only spawns once, and it takes like 15, 20 years. It doesn't really take 100 years, but it takes 20 years to do it. But when it spawns, it has thousands of seeds. I don't have thousands of kids, thank heavens. I don't have time to go into all the implications of our slow breeding rate and our long lifespan, but you can see some of my thoughts here on this other video I did a few months ago. Another thing we have that makes us odd and outlying is that let's talk about specialization. Specialization. Koalas only eat eucalyptus leaves. Venus flytraps live in a single boggy meteor crater. Makes you think, huh? Our species is also a specialist, but we are designed to specialize in everything. Not individually, though. Each one of us chooses a different specialty. Now, that's not unique. Social insects do this too. And animals that live in herds often have different roles, but it's far deeper in humans. Look at it from an alien's point of view. Say an alien wants to negotiate a contract with a human. The human doesn't make the contract himself. He hires someone who is good at negotiating to make the deal. That's what I do when someone contracts with me. I get my lawyer to do it. If an alien wants to fight a human, the human doesn't fight himself. He gets people who are good at security to defend him. Police, soldiers, bodyguards. If a human needs food, we get a specialist farmer, rancher, or fisher to take care of the task. We even have obscure specialties, seemingly useless, like game designer. No other species does this, and I see no reason why aliens would. It's easy to imagine an alien with an insect-like caste system with millions of castes, each specially designed for some function. This is still not as good as what we humans have. You see, we can change what's needed for specialization depending on local circumstances. We can have a guy go to a new place and now suddenly, oh, there's giant mushroom forests here. I guarantee you within 20 years there'd be humans whose specialty was mushroom forest rancher or lumberjack or whatever we call it. Plus, a single human has enough flexibility to have multiple specialization. So take my dad, for instance. Here he is. In his career, he was an ear, nose, and throat doctor. That was his specialty. Not just even a doctor, ear, nose, and throat. Obviously, he could do other things, like he delivered babies and stuff, but, when he was an intern. But ear, nose, and throat. But he's also the #1 player of StarCraft in his age group. Now, yes, his age group is people in their 90s, but hey, that's still something. He's also in the top 1% of genealogy name researchers in the world. So that's 3 things for my dad. Our specializations are a lot more flexible than a caste system. If you have a worker ant, or say an ant whose job is to chew up the fungus into smaller bits. This is an actual caste job for the leafcutter ants. That's all it does is chew up fungus into smaller bits. So our specializations we can change. If we need a human to chew up fungus into smaller bits, we have a human that does that. But he may also be the top StarCraft player, or he may have a little garden on the side, or maybe he raises tortoiseshell cats. Who knows, right? This gives us a big advantage over the normal way the animals specialize. Or for unspecialized aliens that kind of have to do everything the way that a tiger does. Every tiger has to do everything a tiger does. Every bear has to do everything a bear does. I don't have to do the things. I don't have to know how to ranch. I don't know how to have to mine. I don't have to know how to farm. I have a little garden, but I'm not really a farmer. I don't know how to make glass panes for my house. I just get these from other specialists. So what does all this mean? My feeling is that our body style, which is weird. I know in movies all the aliens have our body style, but that's because it's a cheap body style for humans to do, right? If our body style is rare and our life cycle is unique and our specialization technique is unique, all these things are probably not common in outer space. Now, don't get me wrong, any species which achieves space travel or high technology would be unique and amazing in 1,000 ways. They could have senses or telepathy or 1,000,000 things we don't, but they wouldn't be like us. Hence, we are interesting outliers. We're not vanilla at all. We're more like a dragon fruit sundae. So now you know. But maybe the reason so many aliens seem interested in us in literature and movies is because we're weird.